really fun to check back in with some of my clients and see what have they been doing and how have they taken the things that we worked on together in our client and coach experience. And as I was hearing about just the growth and the pieces of their journey that had unfolded since our work together, I thought, wow, like how cool. And I really wanted to spotlight that and just have conversations around it. So I hope that you find as much enjoyment from this conversation as I know the four of us will. So we've got three people here today. And so Vince Abramo is, she finds joy in witnessing the change of individuals and groups when they're engaged in healthy dialogue. And she has a heart for small businesses and supports the missions of nonprofits to fulfill the community's needs. She has a master's degree in public administration and a bachelor's in intercommunication and public relations with certifications in conflict resolution, nonprofit management, and volunteer management from the University of Hawaii. She's a certified coach and trainer through the John Maxwell team. She does brain health coaching through Amen University, which is so cool. She does work with neuroencoding, and she is a certified development and leadership coach. She resides on the island of Oahu with her husband, Nick, and has three wonderful adult children that are carving out their own journey in this world. And she tries to do one scary thing every year and tries one new recipe every month, which also she says can be scary. You and Elizabeth should get to know each other. And Vince, while I'm introducing the other people, I'd love for you to share what's the last one scary thing you did this past year and what it is for this year. Put that in the chat. That'd be great. Marilyn Lamer, so we got her spotlighted. She is from Honolulu, Hawaii, and she graduated from Punahou School. I have no idea if I'm saying any of these things right, folks, so just bear with me. And she later graduated from Chaminade University with a degree in business and was a part of the Hogan Entrepreneur Program there. She's got two boys and lives on a 6-acre farm and loves to learn about frequency and vibration to help people heal faster. Frequency meeting nutrition is her new passion, and it's been life-changing for her. She's been a part of BNI Hawaii for almost 4 years, serving as their previous visitor host, VP, president, and currently she's the event coordinator. She's also a chapter success coach overseeing 2 Oahu BNI chapters, and she is the president of Lilo Kalani Toastmasters Club and volunteers for different organizations during her free time. Giver's gain is one of her core values, and she loves personal development. So, love that. Thank you, Marilyn, for being here. And then our third panelist today is Amanda Dolin. So, Amanda has always been passionate about helping people live fulfilled and joyful lives. When she first began her business, it was all about how to make the most money by targeting who she thought she was supposed to. By shifting her mindset and focusing on who she wanted to help, opportunities started to fall in her lap. Sharing her own mental health struggles and triumphs and her passion for healing the world one person at a time, the right people came to her. She's created a thriving coaching business by moving away from what she thought she should be doing and towards what she is most passionate about. I'm actually tearing up a little bit as I read Amanda's bio because watching the evolution of Amanda in her business has been such a great honor, and in ways I feel like we shepherded that together, and I can't wait for her to share some of that. And my name, for those of you that are here today that have never met me, I don't know that there's many of you, but we have had some new people popping in and out. My name is Allison Profit. I'm the founder of Profit Coach, and I've also created the Soulful Entrepreneur Summit. This is the third year that I've ran this event, and I'm a business coach and consultant. I take a holistic approach and love helping purpose-driven small business owners feel more heart-centered and soul-aligned in the sales, marketing, and operations aspect of their business. I'm a certified coach through the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching, and the work that I do really is deeply rooted in concepts called energy leadership. There's some powerful assessment tools around that, and related to the more tactical pieces of running a business and a multi-day large summit. I am informed through my background of 20 years in human resources, operations, sales, and marketing. And I actually failed launching my business 4 separate times. And it took me until then to find the magic ingredient, which is that joy is the best business strategy. I am so passionate about helping clients find this joy in their business and life and allow their intuition to guide the way. And I cannot wait to unfold this conversation with these three amazing, beautiful women who are, I'm lucky to say, are former clients. And I also consider you all friends at this point in life. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. So we are going to dive in. And the prior years that I did this event, the conversation was a little bit more scripted, but ladies, how do you feel about having sort of a more organic conversation and letting that unfold? Knowing that we don't have tons of time. So I know there's so much that we could talk about. I know we've got some neurodivergence in the room here, so we could go on and on and on. Me too. And also, I want to make sure that we have time to really give those that are watching and listening to the recordings, just give them some insights. So I'm going to ask each of you to share the answer to this question. When you came into our work together, what was it that you felt like you needed to release? And what did you actually end up releasing? So, Marilyn, I'll come to you first, and then we'll pop to Vince and then to Amanda so that you know who's up next.
Well, I met you from the lovely Vince Abramo, so super thankful for that. And I just really resonated with your presentation, like how you bring joy and extract joy, from people and exude joy to people. So, um, I think working with you, I was searching for how to raise my vibration, how to raise my frequency. And I have the chart right next to me on my wall here that you have gave me of the different levels of feelings and vibrations. And the highest is joy and peace, and reminding myself that, okay, I have the choice to to choose my feeling and then be able to raise my vibration through the different feelings. So that was so helpful, Allison.
Awesome. Thanks, Marilyn. And Vince, how about you? When we first started working together, like what were you thinking? Like, oh, I really need to let go of this thing. And then what did you actually end up releasing as we kind of worked through things?
Um, Thank you, Allison, for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Marilyn, for your kind words. I worked with you on especially getting my message out. Um, I was, it was very scary to send out newsletters for me, which is weird, right? It should just be automatic, but I had such a difficult time and a challenging time thinking that it had to be perfect. And you were like, boom, 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 boom. It's like, no, do this, do this, do this. I'm like, oh, is that it? I was thinking I had like such a high expectation of what it should be. And it's not that scary, right? So you just showed me like a really clear path, and was so simplified. And to this day, I utilize that um, process and that system. And it's like this easy, like that ease that came with it was joy. And I don't even think about it, right? It's like, oh, wow. Allison showed me instantly how to do this. How can I get Allison in my cup of coffee every morning so she can be instant?
Oh, I mean, if it comes with a backyard in Hawaii, I'm there. Like also, I love Kona coffee, so like let's make that happen. I'll
Okay.
even make your coffee for you. Do you want me to brew it for you? And then I'll just put a little dash of joy and confidence in there. That's amazing. Thanks, Vincent. You know, I love that you're kind of talking, because that is a big piece of what we worked on together, really was
Mhm.
your email. And Vince had her business for a number of years at that point.
Mhm.
You were successful in your practice and the work that you were doing. And I think that that's why what I love so much about the work I do and it being so informed from so many different places. Like if you're coming and you're like, I don't have any sales and I don't know how to do that. That wasn't your issue. You had sales, but you really were in this place of, I'm in this place and this is the stuff that I need. And so we did that and we addressed that. And I think that the job at Constant Contact that I worked in really showed me how overwhelmed and like stuck people get in something as simple as putting out a newsletter. And sometimes that is a harder thing to figure out, like, what does that look like? What's supposed to be in there? And, you might read other people's and be like, oh, like, I don't like that. And it's like, that's why you have to find your way. And it
Mhm.
should really be something that's simple. And so, and then, I've just loved seeing that you and your team are just like out there, you're putting those things out there. And I think your technology has evolved and shifted. And
Mhm.
that's awesome, right? You started off with Constant Contact. I think you were doing some other platform. We moved you to
Mhm.
Constant Contact. And then you now are doing something else. And I love that. Like you kind of have released this, like, it needs to be this forever. And you've let that evolution happen. So that's amazing, Vince. Thank you so very much. And let's talk about that coffee, Allison, and your
Okay,
coffee every morning. I love
sounds
that.
great.
And then we'll have a retreat in a soulful entrepreneur retreat in Hawaii. Doesn't that
Yeah,
sound
please
amazing?
come.
Cool. We'll make it happen. Amanda, hi. It's so nice to see you.
I'm so excited to be here. So, you asked what I needed to release, and I didn't at the time feel like I need to release anything. I kept thinking like, I need all the things. I need to know what my business is supposed to look like. How do sales look? How do I gain confidence? All of those pieces, like all the things I needed. And I think what I ended up doing was I released the expectations of myself and some fear that I wasn't good enough to be successful. Um, so yeah, I don't know that I was ready to release in the beginning. It was like I needed all the things. And if I didn't have all the things, then I couldn't be successful. And finally, when I let go of that idea,
Mm,
that's when the magic started to happen.
yeah. And I think with Amanda, I remember when we wrapped up our work together, you you didn't move into like making sales and all that right away. And you were
Right.
early in your business.
Mhm.
So could you share just a little bit about that,
So
like that
yeah,
piece of it? Because I think that when people hire a business coach, especially a business coach that's in the realm of like sales, is the thing that I love to help people with how to do and how to increase their sales and increase their revenue. And for you, it's like that didn't happen. That took a
no.
while. But
And
what was important for you in that whole journey?
so it was finding who my people were, like what I hate the word supposed to, but it was finding what I was supposed to be doing. Um, because I kept thinking I have to have big ticket items. I have to, be so specific and I have to serve exactly these people in this way. And because of that, I didn't leave myself open to other possibilities. Um, and and so what I figured out was if I just not sit back and do nothing, but sit back and look at the bigger picture and not be so hyper focused, eventually like the thing came. Um, so that was a really different perspective. And I was lucky enough that I had some financial security that I could wait. And I know not everyone is that privileged. And I own that I had that ability. Um, but because of that, the things that were right showed up at the right times. And yeah, it's a pretty spectacular place to be right now.
Mm. Yeah, the idea that especially for coaches, we have a lot of coaches that are in our community, but I work with not just coaches. I've got clients that are bookkeepers and that have products and things of that nature, but there are a lot of coaches in this community, and there is a lot out there in the marketplace that really puts a high focus on this high ticket offer. And yes, we did extend a high ticket offer today as a result of just coming out of this summit. But if you really look at the pieces of it, there are three different people's offers in that offer, and it can be so paralyzing to feel like, is that really right for you? And it's one of the things that I'm really passionate about. Like are you not doing a higher ticket price point because there's like weird money stuff? Like we have to unpack that. It's really important to unpack that, because if you're not doing that because you're like, oh, it's not worth it and my skills aren't worth it, that's a whole different thing. And I just love that openness that you had. So Vince, I know in our work together, you already were established. You had some, your price points were set, your clients were set, but I do remember that we had some conversation around pricing and packaging and ways of looking at things differently. What kind of showed up for you in that space during our work together, and how has that evolved since then?
So I think taking a look at what I can offer individuals and taking a look at what I can offer organizations. So I do conflict resolution with companies, and pricing my point where it meets the need of the customer and for me, and create a sustainability, because I think I found the sweet spot, right? And they come back to me year after year. So, and then talking to them about increasing my prices. And they're like, yeah, you should be increasing your prices. It was that instant coffee, right? It's like that easy to say that, oh, okay, that it does make sense. And you are of value. That's what I felt, that what I offer has value. And that's what I got from you, Allison, is that ability to package things and to break out things. I could do like a la carte stuff, but it was so easy to manipulate, and I simplified it so much more. I didn't complicate it. Why make it complicated? And those are my two words this year: simplification and clarity. Simplification and clarity are my two words this year.
I love that so much. One of the principles that I teach on is about the 5 C's to soulful success. There's actually a 6th C, but take notes on this because it's a good little nugget and I teach it all the time. But the 5 C's to soulful success are clarity, confidence. I'm sorry, clarity, connection. Nope, sorry. Oh my gosh. Clearly, I need my coffee. Clarity, confidence, connection, courage, and cash. So clarity pieces are around lots of different things. It could be around your offer or your pricing or your process or your values. Clarity shows up in a lot of different places. And when we have more clarity, it actually lets us show up from a more confident place, because we're not like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing. What am I selling? Why is it important? Is this the right person? Do I even know how I'm going to, like, what if they say yes? What am I going to do then? Oh, I have to onboard like 30 clients. What does that mean? Like, do you have clarity on those things? And that's an evolutionary process, of course. And even just having clarity that like, you don't need to know all of that and it'll unfold. Like that could be the kind of clarity you need. Clarity doesn't mean that it's like all ironed out and buttoned up and put in this like nice, pretty like package that you put on your shelf in a binder and you just pull it out and refer to it. It is iterative. And when you have all of that, you feel more confident. And then when you have more confidence and you're clear in your brain, you're not distracted. Your brain's not distracted by the thinking of the things. You can be more connected in that conversation. And connection, I like to say connection is a currency. When we can be in that place of connection and just kind of say, yeah, so these are the things. And, you know, it looks like we've got good connection here. I know I could help you. That connection is really where sales comes from. And people that try to do everything in their business completely online, it does create a little bit of a heavier lift because there's a lot more work that you have to do to create those connections over that digital space. And what I mean by that is like you really need a strong digital marketing presence and you have to show up on social media and your content needs to be engaging. And so for me, I prefer more of this kind of stuff for my connection, but some people do it in the online space. And you just have to have clarity on what's important for you. Amanda, I love that you've really gained that and understood like, how do you want to connect with people? And some of it might be leveraging other organizations that become a piece of your pipeline, right? Maybe there's like a mental health coaching organization, and that's something that Amanda's doing. She's just got like sales calls just showing up on her calendar. That's not going to work for everybody, but it does work for some people. So you really have to kind of understand, like, what does that connection look like? For me, I prefer this kind of connection versus like making a bunch of content. And that's okay. It's not this or that. It's not like you got to do it Allison's way because that's the soulful way. It's like the soulful way is your way. And we have to know and understand, like, what are all the different ways? And because I literally worked at a digital marketing company, I got a lot of insight into those things. And then when you're in that space, then you have courage. Courage is really this place of like, you're showing up. Like being a business owner is hard and scary, and it takes a lot of courage to show up. It takes a lot of courage to be in those sales conversations. It takes a lot of courage to ask the hard questions. Courage is not easy. Courage takes effort. Courage takes resilience. Courage takes vulnerability. And it requires courage to ask people the hard questions, and also to stand up for ourselves and put our own voices out there. And then the fifth C is cash, because if you do all those things and you're really aligned in how you're doing them and it's joyful, then you are able to kind of bring that money in. And but you do have to ask for it, right? So in a sales conversation, the cash part is like you have to ask for the sale. People you can't be like, well, this is great. I loved this. I'll talk to you soon, right? It's not that. You do have to have the ask for the cash, because it's not going to just like show up, right? Sometimes it does, and that's beautiful. So I want to talk about courage, and this question is going to come over to Marilyn and all of the ladies that are on this panel. We do share some, some really, we lean into our faith and our beliefs, right? And I think that I'd love Marilyn to ask you to just talk a little bit about courage and faith and how those pieces really started to become a guiding light for you in your business and life after we started some of our work together.
Yes, so I definitely lean on Jesus every day, all the time. Most of my decisions, including being here on the Soulful Summit, is through prayer. And I'm just so thankful that, we were able to pray during our sessions together. We have that faith that we can give to God and then be able to move forward. And, like I had shared with you recently, going through a divorce, having my business coach pass away suddenly, all this grief and transition happening in my life, and being able to navigate and just see the joy through it. Like I am just thankful that I know now what I don't know. Like I'm thankful that I'm being able to create a life of joy, a life of peace, and so many great things are happening now that I'm just so thrilled, and I can be able to share that with you, with the world, and it's okay to speak my truth. Whereas before I was afraid of what other people would think of me and what other people would say.
Isn't that true, everybody? How we stop ourselves and quiet our own voices because we're not really quite sure if it's safe to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. And if you feel that and you're not really sure how to put like what is true for you out into the world via your business, like put that in the chat. Like I want to witness that. And that's something that I really love. I loved in Jess's talk yesterday, From Goo to Gold, how she did talk about, she kept hearing this whisper about what would happen if you let your voice be heard. And I think that like we lean on our own understanding of what's actually happening in this world when we really, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. There's so much more beauty that is unfolding that we don't, it's like so beyond our understanding. And a lot of times we're like trying to understand it because we want to do something good with it. And instead of letting that magic unfold. And I feel like the women on this screen, in particular, Amanda and you, Marilyn, too. I mean, even when we connected about having you come in as a panelist. You were in the midst of this transition, and you were sort of changing organizations that you were working with, and you were like, I don't even know if I'm really allowed to be talking about some of the things that I'm moving into, and because of just what's the phrase? There's a like a non-compete type of thing, and
Yeah.
and you were like, but the fact that you're asking me to be on this, like, this feels perfect, right? And so just like paying attention to those things is really, really powerful.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would love to also add that we are best equipped to help the people who we once were. And that's what we're doing when we speak our truth, when we speak when we share our voice, right? So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, drop a heart on that one, or like a bomb. Like, that's like such a truth bomb. Like, that is so the essence of soulful entrepreneurship. It's where the summit came from. It's where the offer we made came from. It's where Profit Coach evolved from. Like, failing in my business 4 times was such a labor of like hardship and money poured out of my own business, and still feeling like everybody was telling me I need to do things a certain way. Nobody was like, Allison, like, what feels good to you? Was like, I don't know if I just was like supposed to be working with those people so that I could come here today and stand in this like tried and tested way of doing business. But yeah, like, we are helping the people that we used to be, I think is so, so powerful. And that leads me to my spirit is just saying, like, go to Amanda, because Amanda has things to say about that. And I'm not even gonna ask a question. I think you just have things to say about that.
Yeah. So when I started my business, I was going through a divorce that was really hard. And so I thought, I'm going to work with women who are going through that as well. And yet that wasn't really authentically where I was. That wasn't the right spot. Um, I could share for hours about mental health. And just so you know, Sunday is the 8th anniversary of what I like to say is the day I decided to die and the day I chose to live. And sorry, I wanted other people to see the other side, that it's hard. And there are times where like I didn't want to be here. And yet like I'm here. And Allison talked about faith, and for me that day I heard a voice. It was the Holy Spirit for me that said, I'm not done with you yet. And when I leaned into that voice of what am I supposed to, yeah, I don't like that word, but what am I here for? Like, what is my purpose? My purpose is to be loud about mental health and to work with people who are in a rough spot. So right now I work with a lot of people with trauma. I'm getting ready to launch a program, Women with ADHD, which I found out I had because of Allison, and the struggles that come with that, especially as women with ADHD who are in these high demand positions and feeling overwhelmed. And that moment with Allison, I will never forget that it's like, here, this is a link for you to go check, like to take this test or whatever to see if you have ADHD. And I clicked on it. And then about 30 seconds later, Allison was like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I'm taking the test that I said I was going to take after the session because like I couldn't not take it. And it created just such this awareness for me, not just that I had ADHD, but also that there are other women like me who feel so overwhelmed with all of the things, that providing some resources and support for that in a way that I wish that I had was really powerful. And so at the end of the day, I decided that, like some of you all talked about, I want to help the person that I was, see the joy and just the, I don't know, incredibleness, beauty, whatever the word you want to use, that is the world when you heal your soul. And sitting back and taking the time for that if you will. That's what got me to a place of just loving what I do, being content.
Yeah. Ooh, so good. I remember that. I remember the session after you went to your physician, and there's other pieces of Amanda's mental health story that she's pretty open about, but um, it was surprising to me that you're didn't you say that the physician was like, "Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, you
Yes.
have ADHD." It's like,
Oh,
why
he
would they
was like,
leave that untreated, right? And it's been a game changer for you. And I think the other thing is like that was a little bit of my own journey too. I was late diagnosed with ADHD and that whole discovery and learning process about how my brain works and what supports it and what doesn't support it, there was so much releasing of shame that happened for me in that process of like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. Like the people that are like, okay, you just need to like have these habits and like get up during this time and use this planner and like you use this system and you're consistent. It's like you're literally describing everything that my brain doesn't do. You just need to have this reward system in place so that like you do this and then you get to go and do this other thing. And it's like, that doesn't work for me. That's not my motivator. And people are like, well, you just need to change how you think about that thing. It's like, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. And you're telling me that I am not beautifully designed the way that I am. And I feel so passionate about telling people like how you do things is right for you. Like it's not my way or the highway. Now, if you are wanting to do things in that other way and you're like, I really need all these things and these systems and these checklists and this planner, like I have told people, I'm not your coach. I know you want to work with me because it's pretty joyful, but like you are going to be frustrated with me because you're not going to get what you need from me. And I'm not going to be like, well, you just got to go and figure it out. It's like, no, like I know because I also have neurodivergence like that. I know that I'm a verbal processor. You cannot give me a worksheet and send me off on my own and be like, go watch 3 hours of these recordings and fill in these worksheets and then you'll know what to do. It's not going to work for me. And most people that move into entrepreneurship have some kind of neurodivergence or right or and not all of them, but like some of that neurodivergence shows up in a way where it's like they're just these super creative people and they get things done. Like I get things done, y'all. Like I put this summit on. It is so much work behind the scenes and I do it. And I don't think you guys all know what's happening behind the scenes here. It's a lot. It's a lot, but I don't think it looks effortless, doesn't it? Like for me, because it's my neurodivergence, right? And so Amanda, I have just loved watching you blossom. And I know a dear friend of yours, Stacy, is here. I know Stacy as well. And Stacy, would you not agree that like Amanda has blossomed over the last couple of years?
She is one of the most amazing humans that I've ever had in my presence. And to watch her go from like this really amazing person who is like doing her thing, being a mom, and to watch her turn into, she's a game changer. She's a game changer. She is putting so much impact out into the world by being a person who just comes from the heart. And if you are working with her, you're going to be loved, period. She's amazing.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's emotional, right? Like when we step into these spaces of like, oh my gosh, like I think I'm where I'm supposed to be, even though it's hard, even though it's uncertain, even though the goo is showing up in different areas of our life at different times. And it's really, really beautiful. And I see that beauty in everybody in different ways. So let me do a time check
I have a
here.
quick something I can maybe
Please,
interject on this.
please.
Or not interject, but I'm curious throughout all of your journeys in your businesses, as far as release goes and change and adapting and realizing your strengths and your power that you have and what you're doing and the lives you can change. Is there anything that came up along the way that surprised you where you thought,
Mm.
holy cow, like I didn't think about that. Like one thing for me as an example is I kind of like I kind of like doing social media only because I've gotten responses from people over the years that are like that they don't even like my content. I didn't even know they were watching it, right? It goes back to like you never know who's watching. But I've had comments where I'd see somebody in person or whatever, and they would say, "Oh, hey, you haven't done a video in a while. I really, really like those." I was like, I didn't even know you watched any of that. I haven't seen you anywhere. I never get a like or a heart or anything from you. So, so is there anything that has come up, not social media necessarily, and I'm still learning like a lot of different things, but something that surprised you in your journey that you thought, I'm going to look more into that or became a thing?
I love that question. Any of you can unmute. By the way, I told Travis to like totally interject anytime he had like some brilliant question or thing he wanted to share or ask you guys to share. So thank you, Travis, for just doing that and not waiting for me to like toss a softball over to you. So which of you three, as you're noodling on that, has something that kind of was surprising to you?
Well,
Or
I
something
think,
that was not surprising, even just super validating. Sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
oh no. So it's kind of like hand in hand. Like one, learning that I had ADHD and that struggle helped me want to go work with women that did that had that as well. It also started with me working around trauma. I work so with people with trauma, and a big moment for me was where I realized that I had trauma that I didn't realize was trauma, and all of a sudden, like there was this clarity of sort of like, oh, that's why I'm that way, and like that's okay. Um, and like knowing that I could let go of a whole lot of shame and um that negative self-talk of like I'm not good enough for whatever the thing is, and let go of a lot of the I'm trying to think of how to tactfully say this, but other people's perceptions of me, that their stories about me were getting in the way of my authentic self and my true story. And so seeing that I am not who I was told I was. I
Mhm.
am not, as my mother said, efficiently lazy or I always got the you're the least educated because you only have one master's degree. Um, and things like that. And so those get in there and it's like those aren't messages that are serving me, and then helping other people understand that there are messages that they've received that aren't serving them and quite frankly aren't true. Um, and so I needed that from all the different people around me to understand who I am in my core.
Mm.
I
I
love that
mean,
because it's like,
oh,
sorry,
go ahead.
just that what I'm taking from that is that somebody's perception of you is not the definition of you.
No.
And remembering that, right? I think for me, one of the things I always ask is I ask myself this more often than I think for other people is that true?
It's you say that is so funny. My clients, one of them said something the other day, and she was like, I know you're going to ask me how true is that. And it's not true, but it's what I keep telling myself, and I keep telling myself it's not true. And I laughed so hard that she's like getting those like thoughts. And then she said something too. She was like, my friend said something, and I asked such an Amanda question of her. And I was like, ooh, like, so my clients are now like taking that the view that somebody else has of them not only is not the view that is reality, like is who they really are, but they're able to use that for others. And that's so important to me because I genuinely feel like when we heal one person or help someone heal, it heals the whole world, um, piece by piece. And so that's, it's pretty
Mm.
spectacular when I have a client, it's like, oh, totally ask my whoever this when they said something. to get them thinking. It was a proud moment for me.
Yeah, and don't y'all feel like you made it when somebody's like, "Oh, it's like I heard Carl's voice in my head," or, "Oh, like, Kelly, I know that like that's a thing that you would have asked me or like mirrored to me," or right? Like, don't you feel like, "Oh, I made it in life?" I have so many people that tell me like when they're out and about like at a networking event or like at a sale like in a sales conversation, they're like, it's like you're on my shoulder, like whispering in my ear, like some of the nuggets and some of the things to remember and keep in mind. And I just feel like that's so amazing. And Amanda, the one of the things I think that surprises people about the work that we do together, and it's why I like to say that I do holistic business coaching, because it's not like the vessel, the person's experience is what's showing up or not showing up in your business. And for that process, for you to really like pay attention to the stories you were telling yourself, I mean, there was profound amounts of just like healing of relationships and looking at those things. And so and I want all of you to maybe answer this question as well, if it feels right for you. What changed in your personal life as a result of like the business coaching that we did? I say air quotes business coaching because how we do anything is how we do everything. So
my ADHD just like had a moment of, I didn't miss the first question because I was like, we didn't really do business coaching. I mean, it was, but that's not really what it was. Relationships. There we go. Sorry. Brain had to catch up to it. A lot of it was letting go of resentment, like the kind of, you don't get to tell my story anymore, that my energy is wasted when I'm angry at you, like whether it was my ex, my mom was a big one. And when I let go of that resentment and I was like, yeah, you don't define me anymore. That was huge for me, but it came from a whole lot of like talking about who I really am in that coaching environment of like, what are my values? If you work with me, like values are like this thing for me, because our values set our boundaries, and our boundaries tell us how we interact with people and all of that. And so when I figured out that like I don't value the same things that like my mom does, for example, I let go of that and I was like, I'm going to focus on what I value, because she is down the street from Allison and any of you all in Fort College. She's not far away from you guys. And in fact, like Allison has even met my mother. And I think that while Allison didn't share much about what they talked about, I think there was some validation as well, that it was like, okay, I'm not crazy, because what I'm feeling and what she's saying is real. And like, there's hurt there on both sides. So yeah.
that was really cool. Amanda had me extend the offer to her mother to take the energy leadership assessment. Her mom's like in her 70s, I think, or older. I don't remember how.
78. Yeah.
Yeah. So like mid 70s. So here I am like doing an energy leadership index like assessment and debrief with one of my clients' moms, knowing I'm not going to share that with my client. And it was so cool. Like Amanda's mom is like highly educated. She like was probably one of the first women that worked in the like computer engineering world. I mean, like her mom is this like amazing person. And I learned a lot about like the hardships and the struggles that her mom went through. And I feel like, I don't know if it helped her mom at all, but I think for you, Amanda, just knowing that like your mom was cool, like going through that process, like that was healing for you, even though you didn't necessarily get any information about your mom. It was like a really cool thing. So something definitely I just want to share with people, that like if that's ever a thing that you do want, like somebody else that's in your life and is an important relationship to you, and you're going through this work together, and that seems like that would be really helpful to have common language, because this energy leadership stuff is really, really powerful. And whether somebody has a business or not, I went into getting this certification to use this tool because I felt like it would be helpful in the corporate world to really put a framework and words to why we're feeling the way we're feeling and why we're acting the way we're acting and how we get into these like conflict and relationship spaces. It's such a game changer of a system and model, and leveraging it in a way where it can be supportive to you in a whole way, not just for you, but for those other important relationships in your life. So, Vince and Marilyn, I spent a lot of time with Amanda over here, so thank you for letting us do that. But I'd love for either of you to just share like that energy leadership tool. What did that help you really with the journey of releasing in your business?
I don't know if I took that energy leadership tool. Did I take it?
I think you took it. Yeah.
I took it. Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of our work was focused on marketing, but I
Right.
saw you unmute. So go ahead and share
Okay.
like what was it that you unmuted for? Because your spirit
Oh,
led you to
sure.
unmute for a reason. So
And I wanted just to go back to Travis's question.
yeah.
I was surprised that when I got my master's, when I switched to coaching, I was surprised at how many people were not supportive of my coaching. And then I liked the way that Amanda was resonating with people who are not your people, right? And right now I'm working with an organization. They're not my people. And this is going to be their last workshop today in about 30 minutes. Like they're not my people. So understanding and valuing my values, like I need to meet with you 3 times before I even work with you, so that I understand your whole organization. So honoring that. And then what has changed in my life, going back to your other question, Allison, what has changed in my life is I'm meant to do what I'm meant to do. Like this is where the Holy Spirit has placed me. And I know I'm helping people. And as far as the leadership thing, I go back, I revert back to John Maxwell. So some of the things that are resonating with me on that is it's about others. It's about serving others and feeling that not just servant leadership, but it's this cyclical thing that happens when you do serve others, and that you're serving yourself when you do serve others. So that it just resonates with me every time when I do my training with my coaching. And I just find so much love and spirit and value in that. Hopefully I answered all 3 questions.
No, that was great. That was beautiful. And I think John Maxwell's work is just really powerful. And Travis and I actually talked about doing a Bible study with with his Bible. I bought it, so I don't know, more to come. Maybe I'll do that sometime in this second quarter. But we talked about that being something that could be really fun. Travis, I see that you're unmuted. Did you have something you wanted to add or ask?
Yeah, just real quick. I love, Vince, that you mentioned the working with the right people and being able to identify that and then stepping away from those people when you discover that they're not the right people. Because I had I've had that happen to me a few times over the years. And one of the things that I realized is you get better and better every time at identifying who those people are, and then being okay with, oh, you know what? If you do screw up, it's like, oh, I messed up. I'll take the medicine and then I'll move on. So, because it's really easy to get into that kind of downward spiral of, oh man, this sucks or whatever, right? This is just, instead of just being like, you know what, it's a decision I made and it's going to have to just play out, and then I'm going to move on and make a better decision next time. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that needs to go through that every once in a while and grow through it.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead, Vince.
Yeah. And I had to work with another coach in trying to release all of that, right? That tension, that buildup. And basically oh, I'm not owning their emotions right now. I have to put a boundary around that. And I'm giving it back to you. I have to protect my own emotions right now.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm a mediator. I know how to do that, right, in mediation. But it's when it's unexpected like that, it's like, oh, now I feel hurt. I can move on, but now I know, okay, these are not my people. So
Yeah.
true, Travis.
Yeah, and I love the comment that Stacy put in the chat, and this is what I was going to share in that regard of like learning, like being okay walking away with people that aren't right for us. Where I see this becoming a challenge for a lot of people is when we're in a place in our business where we're in a dip in our cash flow, and a prospect comes along, and we're like, well, I really need that bill's coming up due, and that will cover that bill. It's really easy to put your boundary on a shelf and be like, well, it's money. Yes, Lori, it is always a mistake. It is always a mistake. And learning how to move into that place of having faith that it's working, right? Sometimes I think mismatched clients come in front of us to test our faith, to be like, are you sure you trust it? Are you sure you trust that, like, I've got you? Because like when we take that mismatched client, we are not having faith that it's coming. And that sounds irresponsible. By the way, I shared earlier in the summit that my shadow, my gremlin, is like, I'm irresponsible. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because I say no to things that a lot of other people will be like, don't you need that money, Allison? It's like, it's not a right fit. It will not work out. Like, and not because I'm saying it won't work out, like it won't, right? It's like, if you know that there is a difference between, like discerning the difference between discomfort and dissonance, right? That's it. That's important. It's layered, right? It's layered. So it's like, are you saying no to that person because you're like, oh, I don't know if I can help them? Or is it like, there's something about that person's energy. There's something about what they want me to do that like is totally not what I do. It's what I used to do when I operated in more of a place of scarcity, you know? And so that is like such a hard thing to do when we're in that place of like paying attention to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like, oh, I need a roof over my head and food in my belly. I'm just going to say yes. And it's like, well, I mean, you can do that. That's one way. And then what are the other ways, right? So good. Marilyn, I want to kind of toss it to you to see if there's any responses you have to Travis's inquiry, and then also the secondary question that I had, which was like, what's kind of changed in your personal life? But go ahead and answer the question that Travis posed about, is there anything you were surprised that you had to like release in your business? Is that the right question, Travis? Did I state that properly?
Yes.
Awesome.
You were surprised you had to release, or you're surprised that the change that came from the release?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, being terminated, right, from a company that I had promoted 3.5 years, and then pivoting to a brand new company that God was like, have faith, move forward, and then grieving, you know, the dissolvement of my marriage, the passing of my business coach. I thank God that I had done content for 4 years in a row. I had did a Facebook Live every day for 4 years. And I was able to give myself that grace during that time to take a step back and heal and give myself some self-love and have somebody help me with social media to take those Facebook Lives and create content from it that I'm able to show up every day without me personally showing up every day while I'm healing. And so I'm just so thankful for that. And um, I think now, moving forward, taking all the tools that that I learned with you, and then evolving, being able, for all of my life, I have been an empath, and I would take on other people's energies and other people's feelings. And I've learned how to separate that, where I can hear what people are going through and I don't have to take on their energy and I can just be present with them. And I'm just so grateful, so thankful that all these things are coming about. I am creating a life that I love through and seeing the joy. You had me right. Whatever I'm going through, God is there's putting something better. He's creating something better for me. So it's like, yes, there's some icky or not so preferable things that are happening. However, when I turn it and twist it around and switch my thinking into how is this preferred and where is this leading me to, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Every day I'm so excited about what the day is going to bring for me.
So good. Yeah, I think there's some real power in looking at, well, what have we done that we can leverage? What have we done already that we can leverage? And um, I'm kind of in that journey myself. Amanda Mundo, who was my co-founder of this summit experience, and she's not a part of it anymore. She's decided to move away from her business and back into a job. And the thing that I loved about our work is when we did the summit the first year, she was my social media manager. So she was like really intimately aware of my work and what I do and my values. And she knew me. She knew my voice. And when I came back around to do the summit this time, I stepped away from my business for a year. I really hadn't done any content, right? I mean, I was pretty like radio silence. Even like Elizabeth, like I hadn't seen Elizabeth for like a year, basically, because I was just in this full-time HR job while I was healing from the sexual assault trauma that I experienced. And I really just like had been thinking, what am I going to do all of this stuff that like I have all this content, like I guess I could do something with it, but I'm different now and my pictures are different and some of my language is different and I don't offer all the same things and like I can't reuse all of that. And as I was working with Travis and we were putting the summit on, I was like, all of my content right now is about the summit, but I am more than the summit. And what would happen if I actually just gave myself the permission to look at like, what's a thing that I did before and like, just with a tiny little bit of effort, changing it. And I had to give myself permission that like, that's okay. I don't need to update the photos because they're beautiful photos. Most of them were taken by Deborah Hardy, who was one of our panelists yesterday. And like the content mostly the same. I can tweak it, but it's like there's a starting point. Like, where do you already have starting points that you're like, oh, I can't start there because that's old me. It's like, no, like go there and just see like that makes it maybe easier. And now I have like my virtual assistant. Like I took all that stuff and I put it in a different Trello board. And I'm like, all right, you're going to go through this and you're going to just, anything that's dated specific, like event. Because I've done a lot of speaking. It's like, take those out of the list. I don't want to see them. Anything that seems like you don't know if this is the right link, just like tag me in it. Right? Like, how can they help Sherpa me like through like repurposing this content? And so I love that, Marilyn, that you're like, you know what? Let me leverage what I probably already have so that where I am right now is easier to navigate. It's like even somebody like me, like this is what I help people do. It took me a minute, and when Travis saw that Trello board, he was like, Allison, what are you doing? You have like a year and a half worth of like beautiful content. Why are you not doing anything with it? And it's like my perfection brain was like, well, it's not, is that authentic? Is it authentic to repurpose the content? And it's like, well, is that content representative of me? It is. So like I should just use it. I don't need to be perfect about it. I don't need to rewrite all the posts because that's literally, I was like, yeah, I'll kind of reuse it, but I need to do it a little different. And it's like, half of the people that are going to see it probably never saw it before. And they're not going to scroll back to 2020 to be like, what was she posting in 2020? Is this the same? Right. So, Marilyn, I saw you unmute and I'd love for you to, it seemed like maybe you had something you wanted to share or reflect on.
Yeah, I just agree with you on that as well because, you know, people, we are so critical of ourselves, and we think that people are just watching everything that we do. They don't.
No.
We are our own, we live in our own little world, and we are the most important thing in our own world. And, and it's okay to repost things, things that you love come up. And then the more consistent you are, then people will start seeing that. I mean, I post the same story every morning in my morning routine, and people don't see it. And maybe one day people will, if they decide to stop by my my stories, right? So it's just, we never know what people, and I never know what is going to come up on my Facebook or Instagram feed. So it's just whenever things come up, that's when they come up. And so you can release that, or we can release that to know that just keep posting value and show up. And that's what people want, because we need more positivity, especially in social media.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I the whole idea of like consistency. So good segue, Marilyn. Consistency is the sixth C that I don't always talk about. I don't always talk about it because it's a thing I personally struggle with. Routines, Travis is always about like, well, what's your morning routine? What's your nighttime routine? It's like I wake up and I go to bed. That's the routine. I brush my teeth most of the time, but I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I go to sleep and I didn't brush my teeth. That's a moment of vulnerability here, people, but it's true, right? My routine is like I'm really good at going to bed and I'm really good at getting out of bed. And the other pieces of the routine, they happen, maybe just not in a very like sequential, consistent fashion. And in the world of marketing, like we are pounded over the head with like consistency is most important. Consistency is most important. You have to be showing up. You have to be showing up. And that feels really constraining to somebody who's not a planner. Because it's like, what if that doesn't fit in my day? And so, or what if like I'm not inspired in that moment? And people are like, plan out your content and just sit and work on your content for 2 hours. It's like, that sounds awful. That sounds really awful to me, which is why I hired Amanda in 2020. And now I have all this content. It's like I don't even need to like sit down and do it. I can like literally just pay a VA to go and look at it. And then when I am inspired, I can just like go on live or like post a story or like find other people's contents and share it to my story because I really love other people's content too. And there's nothing wrong with that. So let go of that expectation, and see like how can you like find the ways that it works for you, and then let go of the shame and judgment because the only thing that's hurting is your content. It's gonna hurt your content because you can put the right words on the thing and have the right picture, but if you're doing it and you're like, oh, I hate this, that is energetically coming through the quantum physics energy realm. Like it is real. Like that's not a pretend thing. It's very, very real. So ladies, thank you so very much. Travis is going to be dropping in some things in the chat. Don't forget, we really, really want feedback forms to be submitted as a result of just like you giving feedback about this entire experience. So please make sure at the end of this event that you are going in and giving us feedback on each of the sessions, and then feedback about the event in entirety. Thank you all so much for your vulnerability. They definitely are going to, be engaging in the Mighty Networks community, and we are heading into doing a networking session here next. But I want to close this panel conversation by reading something from my daily devotional today that feels so on point. In fact, I have one and Travis shared one too with me this morning. I was like, how are these so perfectly timed? I don't understand how this happens, but I'm going to read this out. It is from like a Christian devotional, but insert whoever it is that you believe in as you hear this. And if you feel safe to, I invite you to close your eyes and take a nice, slow, deep breath in and out. And just ground into your body as you hear me read these words. I called you out of darkness into my marvelous light. I brought you not only out of darkness, but into my royal family. I clothed you with my personal role of righteousness, making you fit for my kingdom. You are one of my own special people. You belong to me, and I delight in you. I have chosen to use imperfect ones like you to proclaim my praises. I know you cannot do this as well as you would like. Actually, without my help, it is impossible for you to do. This gap between my call on your life and your ability to respond is part of my plan. It heightens your awareness of your utter insufficiency. Because you are mine, I allow you to connect your inability to my boundless sufficiency. Instead of focusing on your inadequacy, work on staying close to me. In everything you do, consciously rely on my help, living in the joyous wonder of self-forgetfulness. As you look to me for all you need, your face will reflect the light of my surpassing glory. Keep your eyes closed. I'm actually going to read the other one. I want you to just let these words wash over you. You are on the right path. Listen more to me and less to your doubts. I am leading you along the way I designed just for you. Therefore, it is a lonely way, humanly speaking. But I go before you as well as alongside you, so you are never alone. Do not expect anyone to understand fully my ways with you any more than you can comprehend my dealings with others. I am revealing to you the path of life, day by day, moment by moment. As I said to my disciple Peter, so I repeat to you, follow me. So if those aren't perfectly timed words for all of you, I know that they were perfectly timed for all of me. The synergy that has happened in the last 3 days for myself, for people that are presenters and panelists, and hopefully for those of you that are here in the audience, the synergies and the synchronicities are profound. And I hope that you're all feeling that. So with that, we are going to be moving into our next stage. And I'm really excited that we're literally just going to like jump right in without a whole lot of to do.